All right, without further ado, let's get to it. Welcome to another episode of Interviews with the Foreign Magazine, where we go beyond the surface and we focus on the ideas, thought process, and journey of each guest that we sit down with. And today on the platform, we have none other than Khalifah Green. What's going on, my sister? How you doing?
I'm doing amazing. Thank you so much. How are you?
I'm great. Definitely gonna be a great conversation.
Yeah.
Interesting conversation with what you do. I feel like a lot of people can benefit from your expertise. You know what I mean?
Thank
So
you.
we're gonna get into it. If you can, just to start it off,
Okay.
let the people know exactly who you are and what do you do.
So I am Khalifah Green. I'm the owner and founder of CEO of Wombwise Co. And that is a business that I started because a lot of women were passing away in childbirth. It's basically I'm a doula and an herbalist. But I use my business as advocacy work to show up for people who need me, to help my community try to reclaim some ancestral knowledge as well.
Mm. And even with that, like for a person to go into that field, now we see a lot of people entering into it. When you go on TikTok and you
Yes.
go, the space is so many people,
It
and you
is.
don't know who to choose.
Yes.
You don't know who's official. You don't know none of that.
Yeah.
For you, what is it that makes you stand out? You know, no slight to anybody else, but
Right.
we're sitting down with you. So what is it that make you stand out with what you do?
So for me, like I said, this is ancestral work for me. I initially learned from my mother. She was just showing up for the community with big pots of food, which she learned from her father, who used to feed people out the back of their homes. So for me, I am a full spectrum doula. This means that I have also studied with fertility, birth, labor, postpartum, which is the time after you've had the baby. And I'm also trained in death as a death doula. So I have a more holistic approach. Most people come to me because they want to have a medicated labor. And a lot of people seek me out because they want a doula that looks like them.
Mm.
So I'm like a sister friend who helps you to navigate the medical industrial system.
For sure.
And I think it's also just how I am when I show up. I'm never aggressive or mean or anything like that. I'm just trying to be a partner to your medical team. I have trained in Southern traditions. So, like, if you think of granny midwives, like the women who were catching babies a long time ago, I've studied their herbal traditions as well. I'm certified in that. So to be a doula, you don't have to be certified, but I chose to be certified just to have another level of education under my belt.
Yeah. What was the process of going through that? Like, was it
Yeah.
tedious and long, or was it something that you naturally picked up on, being that you did have a mom that was kind of in that field already?
So honestly, I didn't know that I was being a doula. I didn't know that's what it was called. There are different training programs that you can do. So some are 3 days long over a weekend if you just want to be a birth doula or postpartum doula. Some other programs, they require a little bit longer. So for me, I took a training with the National Black Doulas Association, and that was a weekend. But I had to expound upon my knowledge because that one training did not allow me to show up in the ways that I show up now. It was a great base, which they told me from the beginning, like, this is just the basics. You're going to have to study. You're going to have to invest in yourself. So over a long period of time, I have studied more and more different areas, traditional Chinese medicine, and like I said, under master herbalist as well. So I like to incorporate herbal work in my doula business.
Why is it important for like Black women in our community to have a doula during pregnancy and childbirth, especially considering the unique challenges that they face?
Man, it's interesting because it's infant. Basically, right now this week, it's infant mortality awareness. I hope I'm saying that right because it's so many things that is going on in the world that it's hard to keep up with. But the Black maternal and infant death rates in America are higher than anywhere else. So for every, let's say 100,000 births, there for Black women, 49 and a half of us die in childbirth.
Mm.
And it's America. Like, you don't hear those rates anywhere else. So for me to be able to show up for people and do the things that I do, sometimes it's the difference between life and death.
Mm.
It could be a difference between complications, them being heard or not being heard. And that's no slight to any of the other professionals, but a lot of times you're just another number. So I like to show up and, pay attention to what's going on, advocate, say, hey, hold on, we need a minute, be respectful of like religious practices, all of that. So sometimes when nobody else in the room looks like you and you have someone who knows how to navigate that system and show up for you, it makes the world a difference.
It does. It does. No, that's 100% true. Like, even now that you saying it, like, I'm kind of getting educated because that's something that we don't really focus on.
Right.
It's something that we don't really think about until we in that room, and then we look around and it's like, damn, I don't see nobody that look like me. So therefore, like you say, no slight to nobody, but the trust factor, you know what I mean? That's very important. What was your support like during your birth experience, and how did that influence your decision to become a doula?
So we have a 6-year-old daughter. It was not, I will say that I'm grateful, lucky, blessed, whatever words you want to use. I had a very healthy pregnancy and labor, but the postpartum was really, really rough. I had nobody.
What is postpartum? Just so, for educational purposes.
Right. So postpartum, a lot of people especially in the Black community, we tend to interchangeably use that word when we're talking about depression after the baby. But really the postpartum period is after the baby is born until. Some people feel like postpartum is 2 years after the baby because that's really how long it takes for your body to heal. Some people feel that postpartum is forever. So it's just the period after having the baby. Immediately, you could say the first 6 to 8 weeks after having the baby. But, everybody has their own definitions.
Got you.
So that transitional period for me and my husband, after we had our daughter, was really, really hard because, yes, I had knowledge about how to care for other people, but it's different when you're caring for yourself.
No doubt.
So when nobody showed up for me and I thought I had a village, that was a hard pill to swallow. I don't want to get emotional about it, but I've been getting therapy just behind it. But part of the therapy was telling the people who didn't show up for me, like, hey, you didn't show up and I needed you. And it was the most critical time in my life. And I suffered from postpartum depression at least 2 to 3 years after having our daughter. So I vowed to myself that nobody else would experience this if I had something to do with it.
When you say show up for you, like, what does that look like? For a woman to be, going through the pregnancy stage and giving birth, what does showing up look like?
So showing up, like, let's say we're talking about pregnancy. So I love these things that I've been seeing called nesting parties, where people show up to your house and just like help straighten up your house, put your baby supplies away, wash everything, really just checking on you daily. I had that. It was really great. People were bringing me food, seeing if I'm doing okay. Did I have the baby yet? But then postpartum, I will say, I take that back. I had 2 people show up for me. And showing up for me from them looked like they just would call me and bring me groceries. They're like, how are you doing? They would just come and sit with me. Don't come and take my baby. Don't hold my baby. And I have to host you. That's not what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
I need you to come and care for me. So that's what I do as a postpartum doula. I show up and take care of everything else around the house that the person who gave birth would normally take care of so that they could just focus on the baby.
Got you.
So that means bringing food, washing clothes, cleansing the house areas, whatever they need to have done. Just so they don't have to worry about it, because you're in the house for a while.
Quite a time, yeah, absolutely.
Quite a long time after having a baby. And I also want people to know that we have to show up for the other person, like the partners, the dads, because
I'm glad you said that, because hey, it's men out here that's holding it down,
yes,
and as our wives and women go through, these things, like emotionally, we go through it as well.
yes,
Being that partner that gotta hear and see the crying and,
yes.
go to the kitchen every other, you know what I mean? So yeah,
Yeah,
100%.
you got
I'm
to take
glad you
care of
said that.
the other side of it. But a lot of people don't know that men can have postpartum depression too. It just looks a little bit different. So let's say if it's a woman, normally we're looking at like, is she sad? Is she just not herself? Is she just disinterested in the things that normally bring her joy? With men, it can look like rage, addiction, just a change in the personality, withdrawal as well from the everyday things that bring them joy.
Yeah.
So when I'm going to the homes, I'm looking for this in both parents, whatever is going on. So there's a change in them too, like they have to maybe take time away from work. Like my husband, they didn't even give him paternity leave. It wasn't paid, which that's a whole nother subject that we could go on and on about too. So, it's like a change in the household, and you are now responsible for even more because your partner can't do what they were doing before. They're literally on bed rest.
Yeah. How do you, in terms of men, like, how do you assist in that area? Is it recommendation for therapy? Is it, like, do you have your own, like, I guess, like, just ways of,
Yeah.
getting them out of that state of mind?
Yeah. So I always ask beforehand. We do some postpartum planning too. And I'm asking like, hey, do you have someone that you can call on, that you can talk to any time of the day? And if not, is there a professional that you have? Do you need a recommendation? And then when I'm there, I'm asking, have you eaten? Have you had some rest? How about you just go for a walk? Or some dads like to go and run the errands so they could just get out the house.
No, that's true. That's true. That's true.
So if I'm not going to run the errands for them so they could just sleep and I'm holding the baby, then I'm trying to create space for them to be able to care for themselves as well. Literally just take a shower. And if they nod off and go to sleep, I lock up the house when I'm done and I leave.
That's dope. That's dope. If possible, can you share a powerful story, like where your presence as a doula made a real difference for a family in their childbirth journey?
Yes. So the first one that comes to mind is there's a woman who was, because of childcare reasons, she was at the hospital by herself. Her husband was at home with the children. They already had 2 or 3 children at home. So she was laboring at the hospital alone. And I was trying to get there as fast as I could. She seemed hysterical. And I hate to use that word, but like, she seemed terrified. That's a better word. She was like, talking fast, and she was texting me. And then that's when I called her, because I was like, hold on, these texts are kind of like halfway. So I got there, I walk into the room, and she has wide eyes, and she's in this like aggressive stance. Like she's trying to protect herself and her baby. She's in a hospital gown. I imagine it. She's in a hospital gown, fully pregnant, hooked up to IVs, and there's a group of nurses. Nobody looks like us. And it's like a us versus them situation that it looks like, which I know that the nurses are probably just trying to do their job.
Absolutely.
But she looks like she's ready to fight. So I come in, I put all my bags down. Normally I wash my hands when I walk into the door, but I just had to take all my bags. I started turning off lights. I started talking in a really low tone. I'm like, hey, I'm here. What's going on? So she tells me that she's feeling pushed into a corner, and that's literally physically how she looked. So I asked the nurses if we could just have a moment, and everybody just one by one leaves the room, and I sit down on the bed, and she's rocking back and forth, big belly, and she is agitated, and I'm just trying to get to the bottom of what's happening. So we just start having a conversation, and she starts to calm down, relax. I'm like, hey, can we sit on this birth ball? Let's go get in the shower, because I want to bring the energy and the anger all the way down. And I think it helped by turning off the lights, number one, because that can get people.
That's why when you said that, I said, oh, wow. I like, yeah, she knows what she's doing. Like, psychologically, I'm walking through it. And then when you said you turned the light, I'm like, oh, wow.
Yeah. And I'm trying to take away all the extra stimuli. The sounds, the people, the smells, anything. That's why, like, when I go to births, I don't wear perfume or any scented lotions or anything. I don't want no extra nothing. So she finally relaxes, and the nurses come in and they're asking their questions, and I'm asking questions. And I tell them what's in her birth plan. And that's a whole list of things that we come up with. Basically, best case scenario, what do you want to experience for you, your body, your baby, right? So I'm just reminding them of what her wishes are, and that she doesn't want whatever it is that they're offering her by any means. And if she does, she'll let you know.
Yeah.
That whole birth changed, because they're like, well, you're not dilating, so we may need to take other measures. Luckily, I think she relaxed enough. The baby came naturally, and I was there, and I was able to support her with her husband on FaceTime. I was able to hold the phone so that they could watch the birth, the children and the husband. So I feel like, well, at least I hope that my presence in that situation made a difference.
Yeah, that's super dope, man.
Thank you.
I like, even, if I decide to have a keyword if. Definitely gonna be hollering at sis for sure.
Okay.
And advocating for birthing parents seems crucial. How do you do that during labor, and why is it so important, particularly in the context of like systematic issues faced by Black women?
So we know, well, if we don't know, racism is very real. It shows up systematically. Even in training for medical professionals, some of the verbiage in the textbooks are still very, we'll say, lacking in information. So the way that I advocate is just, I like to remind the staff that this is a human being, basically, without using those exact words, and also including the partners. Like, let's say it's a dad. Sometimes the medical professionals don't even acknowledge
at all
the dad
at all.
They just come in and talk to the mom.
And that is so disrespectful.
It's so disrespectful, because two people are having a baby. Yes, this person is in labor, but two people are having this child, and they're both having an experience. And then the baby's having an experience. So it's a lot to consider, right? So you feel like you're not even a part of this. You just sit on the couch and you be there, and we'll tell you when to cut the cord, basically. That's how they treat you sometimes. But I like to advocate by including everyone, reminding people of their wishes, letting them know their rights. Like, yes, they're saying that you are doing X, Y, and Z, but guess what? That's your decision. You don't have to just do whatever is told. I like to use this acronym called BRAIN that I was taught in birth training. So B is it's brain. So B is for benefits. What are the benefits of what you're asking me to do? R, what are the risks? A, are there any alternatives? I, what is your intuition or your gut telling you? N is for no, or not right now. So I like to remind people of those things. And also, while I'm reminding my patients, I'm giving humanity to them in front of these providers, because we need you to know that this is not just a run-of-the-mill birth. This is a person right here.
Absolutely.
And they have emotions and needs. And I know you have your protocol, but we're going to slow it down.
And even with that, if I may interject, that's a thing where sometimes it could be kind of a clash between a doula and, hospitals and, nurses and stuff like that. In terms of that, why do many hospitals seem to frown upon doulas, and how do you, in particularly, navigate them challenges?
So there is a particular hospital right now who is trying to make doulas sign a contract that we won't interfere, that we won't do anything. We won't even use essential oils or aromatherapy for our clients during their labor. They want us to sign this contract. We're not contracted with them. We are contracted with our clients. And a lot of times we clash because some people have no tact. Let's just be honest. They don't know how to show up in a space and be respectful. They try to take over. Or sometimes on the other end, the medical professional has a huge ego and they feel like you're in the way. It is sometimes we can work together. It's a great experience. That's why I always try to, when I show up, I ask questions because I'm coming from a place of gaining knowledge.
Yeah.
So when I come into the room, I introduce myself to the nurse, to the doctor, and I say, "Hi, I'm Khalifa. I'm the doula." And they're like, oh, okay, hi. So because just like the dads, they'll walk right past me and they'll be like, "Oh, hey." And I think sometimes maybe they've had a bad experience with a loved one. Oh, during the pandemic, they weren't allowing a certain amount of people in the room. So some people were saying like, "Oh, I'm a doula."
Right. So
You
that
know?
kind of created a bad, relationship between
It
the doula
did.
and the hospitals.
It
Yeah.
did. And some of them weren't even doulas. Some people weren't trained at all. And I'm not saying you have to be certified to be a good doula. I'm just saying that there was no training, no proper training done. And there's certain things that you just don't do.
Yeah.
So I hope that my approach of, I'm a part of the team.
Right.
It just disarms and like all of that stuff. And I'm not trying to completely disengage with you, but really, I'm not here for you. I'm here for my client.
No doubt. What's some of the misconceptions about a doula, and like what are some of those things that you like clear up? Like how do you
Yes.
clear that up?
So the biggest thing is people call me all the time because they're like, "Yeah, you're gonna help me have the baby, right?" And I'm like, whoa. I'm not a midwife. So people mistake us for midwives.
So thinking that you're going to physically help them have the baby,
Yes.
Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay.
So I want to clear that up. You have your OBs, which are obstetrics and gynecology, OBGYN, and you have your midwife. Those are the people who are going to care for your like health. Those are your medical providers. As a doula, I am not a medical provider. So some people get that mixed up and they think that we're going to physically like catch their babies.
Yeah.
Or provide some sort of medical attention, which we're not. Worst case scenario, I am CPR certified, but that's about as far as it's going to go.
Right.
So I try to educate as much as I can. Other times I find in our community, specifically in the Black community, they think that doulas are for white people. They think it's too expensive. They think that's some hippie stuff. That's not for me. Or they just don't even know what we do.
How do you go about in terms of like pricing and, things like that, if you can talk about it?
So for me, I base it off of my knowledge, my time. Some advice that was given to me was what you have to leave your family. You don't know how long you're going to be gone. You don't know when you're coming back. What is that worth to you? What is your time? So for me, because my oldest doula baby is probably 15 or 16 years old, so I have a lot of knowledge and expertise. But I don't want like the cost to be a barrier to people. So I try to come up with payment plans. The doulas can range anywhere from $1,000 and above. It just depends on what package or whatever you choose, whatever level of support you need, what we do together.
And if I may, when you say 1,000, is that an hour or a month? Like
So like, let's say sometimes newer doulas will charge $1,000 for birth.
Got you.
So it's up to them whether you have prenatals or not. I always tell people don't take less than that. That's still not enough, but as you gain knowledge and grow in your experience, then okay,
100%.
your fees should reflect that.
100%.
But the great thing is that the state of Michigan is now covering doulas with Medicaid. So you get 12 visits. Meridian is actually one of the companies, and they have unlimited visits. I think it's up to the first birthday. So it has opened up this world to a whole lot of people who otherwise had never even considered doulas, or when they thought about it, they were like, "Oh, that's beyond my means."
Got you. Very informative. Let's switch gears a little bit.
Okay.
One fun fact is that you're a placenta encapsulation What's the word?
Placenta encapsulation specialist.
Yeah, like what is that, and like
Yeah.
what's the benefit of that for mother? Like I've heard about people eating the placenta
Yes.
and like how beneficial it is, but I never
Yes.
really had an opportunity to kind of really understand exactly how does it help and exactly what's the benefits of it. Can you talk about it a little bit?
Sure. It's actually one of my most favorite things to do. That might sound kind of crazy to people because they're like, you're dealing with a human organ. Like, what do you mean? But I
That's how
really
my
enjoy
wife was
it.
like, no, keep it. We're
Keep
gonna
it.
yeah,
Yes,
like I'm
yes.
like this big ass what the hell? Like yeah, so yeah, break that down for us so we can know.
Yeah. So the placenta is a really unique organ. It is grown every time that someone is pregnant. And it is attached to the uterus inside of the body. It helps to feed like all the beneficial nutrients to the baby, oxygen, rich blood, all that good stuff. So the belief is that if you ingest that back into your body, then you get all those benefits back. So you get like B vitamins, iron, just a bunch of good stuff, right? So what I do is it's called the traditional Chinese medicine method. And the belief is like, are you familiar with like energy?
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
So the belief is that because the baby is now born and the placenta is born, the warmth is gone from the body.
Gotcha.
And in traditional Chinese medicine, cold is what makes you sick. Just like, like Dr. Sebi is like mucus is the cause of all disease.
Of everything, yeah.
So it's kind of like in that similar.
Same, yeah.
Yeah. So
that makes sense. You got a cold.
Yeah.
Like, that's damn. Okay.
So you take all the heat from the body. That's like the life blood, right? So I take the placenta, I steam it to kill any bacteria with ginger, lemon, and jalapeno or cayenne pepper, whichever one. I always make sure nobody's allergic to any of that to put the heat and like vitamin C and all that good stuff back into the body.
Damn, hold on. You just cracked my head with that, like for real. Like it all makes sense. Like
Yes.
even with what you said. So when you got a cold, this is why you got to drink hot tea.
Yes.
This is why ginger is one of those things that you should take. And even with the jalapeno, like it makes sense now. Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
It's for the circulation.
Yeah.
You know, the oxygen rich blood we're getting back throughout the body because we need the body to heal. So I'm putting all that back in and then I steam it. So then dehydrate it for at least 12 hours. Then I grind it up and I personally like to put it into capsules. So I have flavored capsules. So people have fun with that. They like it, like I had one client who had a rainbow baby, which means that they were pregnant before the baby passed away and they got pregnant again.
Oh, wow.
So to celebrate that, she got all the different flavors. So it was grape, strawberry, lime, orange, bubblegum. It was really cute.
That's what's up.
So yeah, we're putting all that back. And some of the benefits of it are less postpartum bleeding. I've seen it increase milk supply and as much as you can have more energy with a newborn baby. Most of my clients are parents who have had children before, so they have something to compare it to. And that is across the board what people are looking for.
Got you.
Yeah, and people mostly come to me because I'm local in Michigan, in Detroit, because there are other companies, but they're like in California, you got to send your placenta, and they don't trust it. But like I'm a real person. So
Real talk. How did you become interested in herbalism? And like what role does it play in your work as a doula?
So herbalism is also something that I grew up with. My mother, again, and my father, they were very holistic in a lot of the things that they did. So, they were in the 60s and the 70s with all the amazing movements and, like back to the land and helping to heal yourself. So first it started with food. I love food. And then a lot of people don't realize that they're using herbalism every day with cooking. So you got thyme, oregano, ginger, lemon, all those kinds of things. That's herbalism. So when you're cooking and when we make that pot of soup and they're like, oh, I need a cup of chicken noodle soup. It makes you feel so good because you got all those herbs in there.
Absolutely.
So my herbalism, it really started for myself. Like I said, I grew up with it, but I took my journey more seriously. One day, my chest was hurting really, really bad. And I went to the doctor and they said I had a cyst about 3 centimeters big and only solution was surgery. And I was like, hold on, let me see what I can do. The doctor said, I'm telling you now, it normally doesn't work, but I'll give you 3 months. and we'll check in again. I said, okay. Took all caffeine out of my diet. I was taking my herbs on a daily basis, eating clean, no processed foods whatsoever. And in 3 months, I went back. They couldn't tell which side of my chest it was on.
Wow.
So that
take a lot of discipline too.
It did.
Like to not eat processed food and because like one of the things is that it's expensive.
It is.
So you would agree that it is expensive. Like what would be like some of the go-to places? Like if I wanted to, change my diet today.
Yes.
What's like some of the places that you would recommend or like some of the things that you would advise me to start doing so that I can, begin to heal the body? I think we in a space right now where people are starting to wake up to that and, take care of their bodies more.
Right.
But we just don't, I guess it's just not publicized of like the places to go and stuff like that. So if you know some places like,
Yeah. So honestly, for me, everything starts at home. So if we want to start taking stuff out of the diet and adding in, like, I'm not a person of overhauling. Like, yes, it took me some great discipline to do all the things that I did, but like my clients, because I do herbal consultations as well, and I don't try to overhaul their lives because that's not realistic and it's not going to be a long-term solution. So first, sometimes I like to just start with, let's eat some more green vegetables. Randazzles. You could get a whole bunch of green vegetables for like $20.
Yeah.
Meal prepping. My husband is like a huge advocate for meal prepping. So we just start by putting in more green vegetables because that's oxygen in your body. But some of the places that I like are a little bit more plant-based. Like there's a vegan cafe and juice bar called Fresh Roots. It's down in Wayne State, right across the street. And they just opened up a new location in Rochester Hills, I think it was. And then there's, I will say it is a good vegan option, but it is some processed stuff. But, we got to start somewhere.
Give and take,
Yeah, like Trap Vegan. Have you heard of that?
Yeah, oh man. Well, we just left that mug last week. Had the what is it? Not the What Up Though burger. It's something with the onion on.
I know what you're
with
talking
the
about.
onion ring on that mug. Yeah, we smashed.
Yes, it's so good.
Yep.
But there's also local chefs like Chef Dunny. He's on Instagram. Like you can look him up. He normally has food in. Are you familiar with Natural Patch?
No, I'm not.
So the Natural Patch is a holistic and natural like food store. They sell whole foods down in Ferndale. He used to have meals and stuff in there. And then there's another health food store right across the street. He has meals in there too, like fresh sea moss drinks. There's more herbs. You can get your herbs and stuff from there.
I get a lot of tea from there, from more herbs. And I just actually got some soap, because using the soap. So on 7 Mile, right? More herbs. I think that's on 7 Mile.
Yes. And then always people can come to me because like I said, I do herbal consultations, and with your herbal consultation, I get all up in your business. I'm like asking, what are you doing with your life? Like I said, we're doing those mild changes to the diet slowly but surely. And then I like to give people the herbs to drink. So herbs that are really nutrient rich because most of us are on a cellular level starving and we're dehydrated and we just don't sleep enough.
That's true.
So I start with basic things.
That is true. Lastly, before we depart, what advice do you have for expecting parents who are thinking about hiring a doula but might still be on the fence about it?
Well, I think it's great that they even considered it. Because like I said, some people just don't know what a doula is. If you're not sure, if your partner is kind of like, why do we even need a doula? I'm going to help you. The truth of the matter is you can only help so much. And I'm there to like tag team with the partner. So physical support in labor, especially if somebody wants to be unmedicated or not, takes a lot of physical effort. So I feel like if you are considering having a doula, talk to more than one doula. Talk to multiple doulas to get somebody. It's just like dating or looking for the right doctor. You need to kind of shop around a little bit. So just type in doula whatever type of doula you look, holistic doula, black doula, whatever, and it'll bring up some things. Talk to more than one doula, see what they offer, and then pick the person who really resonates with you. And like I said, as far as cost goes, if that's something that you feel is a barrier, Medicaid, if you have that, is an option for you. It's 100% covered by Medicaid. If you don't have Medicaid, but you have insurance through a job, sometimes they give you these cards, that's HSA, FSA cards, or like health spending account. You could pay for it with that too. A lot of doulas barter. Like, we go back to the old systems of, well, what do you do? What do I do?
Right,
we can trade
we can
services.
exchange.
We can exchange some services. You know, like, I have clients, like, they do hair. I don't do hair. I have a daughter. I told you, 6 years old. I don't do hair. If you want to, you know, do some hair for this doula service or some herbs, like, let's do that.
Real talk.
Yeah. So just do it. That's really my suggestion. Just get the doula, you know, especially, honestly, I end up being a doula for the dad, for real, or the partner, because they need support too. And the moms are the ones who normally say, I want to have a doula, but the dads are the ones who really do the word of mouth for me of advertising.
Right. No, definitely. Say the dads be the one like, bro, I'm telling you.
You need a doula,
bro. It's going to help you, bro.
Yeah.
For real.
I mean, people say that they could not have had their birth experience the way that it was without their doula. So I hope that just to have that level of support, take away some of that stress for people. And also, like I said, in that postpartum period, that extra support that you don't even know that you need, just take the help.
Yes. Well, it definitely was a great conversation.
Yes.
I definitely got a lot of insight. I did not know the power of that job alone. You know what I mean? I feel like, especially amongst the Black community, I feel like it's needed. You know, when it comes to mental health, when it comes to, giving birth, childbirth, when it comes to healing the body, we kind of behind, in those fields. So to have an opportunity to sit down with somebody that's educated, that knows about it, and that can help, definitely an honor. If you can, one final message to people that may be looking at this interview that you would like them to know, now time to tell them.
Oh, man. So, I mean, I would just say, let's recreate the village. That's really my goal. Then that's why people hire doulas, because they don't have support. So if you're not ready to be a doula, or, you're not ready to hire a doula, create that support system with the people that you love around you. Let's recreate the village, starting within our homes, and especially with these people who are giving birth. And of course, you can reach out to me, ask me questions, or I can direct you to the best person for you.
If possible, can you tell them where to find you at on social media platforms?
Yes, I am Womb Wise Co. WOMBWISECO. That's all platforms.
That's what it is. Khalifah Green.
Yes.
Appreciate you coming on the platform.
Thank
the Forum
you.
Magazine, Pulse of the Culture. Let's get it.